seeing your entire screen, not just
Right.
Right.
The slideshow.
Yeah. So anyway, well, I'm gonna welcome everybody. Welcome to the I Take the Lead networking webinar, and I am so pleased. I have two very good friends here who are going to be speaking today. Sean Harry, Dr. Sean Harry, is our presenter.
Hi, everyone.
And he's there's his slide, and then Deborah Ivanoff is on here helping me moderate, and she even put I noticed she already put a little message to everybody. As you can see over on the right, there's a chat, and you can post your questions as we go. If it's something that Sean is speaking about right then and there, we'll either Deb or I will probably interrupt him, ask him the question. But if not, we should have plenty of time at the end for questions. So we'll get all your questions answered at the end if we don't do it during. Anyway, I just wanted to, I'm not sure, I didn't really look to see who we have on the webinar right now. I just want to make sure, and it takes a little bit, if everybody could let me know if you can hear me. Let's see, we have Irina in Colorado. Can you hear me okay? Spencer Crum in Portland, Multiple 5 area. Just email, just put in the sidebar there. Just let me know that you can hear me okay.
What if they can't hear you? Should they put a no?
Yeah. Okay, you're funny.
That's why you invited me.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I'll put it up there. I'm not getting any. Yes, okay, good. If Stephanie can hear us, that means Sarah, Jacqueline. Okay, thank you very much. Well, this is we do these networking webinars frequently. The next one, however, won't be until September. We've already got it scheduled. September 15th, 2 to 3 Pacific time. It will be 5 o'clock Eastern time. And we're going to have Charles Montgomery, who is the owner of eSource. I can't remember. It's a web company. It's my web company, and I can't remember what it is right now. Anyway, so we've got that coming, and then it's summertime. For all of you who are in the Portland area, or even in the Seattle area, if you want to come down to our next 8th annual golf tournament fundraiser in August. Tomorrow's the last day to get early bird pricing, but you can register anytime after that. But we're having, for those of you who are in the Seattle area, I believe Leo Potts is planning to come down. He and his wife are going to come down and golf. And but we have a dinner about 5:36, and love to have you there. It's $24 through tomorrow if you just want to go to dinner, but it's only $55 to golf, and that includes that includes your dinner, and it's an 18 par 3.
Yep.
Par 3 executive course. Beautiful course. Sean's golfed on there, and we always have a lot of fun. But the big thing is it's a great big fundraiser. We have 5 nonprofits who are going to be recipients this year, so we're really excited. But with that, Deborah, you want to just introduce yourself really quick, and then we'll let Sean take the show?
Sure, thanks. I'm Deborah Ivanoff, the Being Coach. You do enough, you know enough, and I'm here to help you align your inner game with your outer actions. And I know Sean knows a lot about that, and I heard that he's got some fun stuff. He's here to make it fun, and so of course I had to show up for that, as he did for mine a couple weeks back. So I'm just here to really support Sean. I'm very good at asking questions, so if no one else does in the chat, I'm here to grill him. But that doesn't give you guys license to get off easy. You guys ask those good questions in the chat, so we can really take advantage of Sean and his experience and his attitude and his sharp mind.
Absolutely, and his great networking skills. He's probably the best networker I know, so I'm really excited to have him.
Wow, thanks. Thank you.
Well, good. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and let Dr. Sean Harry take over. He's been a part of I Take the Lead, oh gosh, I don't know, 8 years, Sean, has it been? Or
I believe it's been at least 8 years, yes.
that's what it feels like. You know, it just seems like you've always been one of my best friends. I'm very excited to have you. And if you now, right now we're seeing the whole screen, and it looks fine for me. But how does it look to you, Deb?
I think it's fine. I think if there's a way for you to pull it out any further, Sean, like so that it's any bigger, do that. But otherwise, yeah, there you go. I think that's just fine. Just go for it.
That's
Okay.
fine. I keep doing the other, but it's just not working right.
Yeah. So let's just work with what works.
Okay, very good, very good. So better than free beer, networking.
So here's our agenda for today. We're going to talk about a model that some of you may have heard me talk about before. It's called the you-them model, and I think this is critical. It's critical when you are trying to identify your perfect customer, but today I want us to think about the you-them model in relationship to our networking partners. So we'll go a little bit more into that and figure out what that means. Then we're going to talk about two types of people who attend networking events. And you will probably see yourself in one or the other, or maybe you are one of those people who vacillates between the two. You're one, and then you're the other, and then you're one, and then you're the other. And then finally, we're going to talk about, well, not finally, third, we're going to talk about how to lose the mask, and you'll understand more about that as we get into the conversation today. And then finally, where's the beer? Where is my beer? And I want to let you know that you can get the PowerPoint, and there will be a couple of worksheets mentioned in this talk this afternoon, and you can get those by sending an email to seanpharry@gmail.com and request, just say, where's my free beer? And I will bring this slide back up at the end so everyone can see this. But if you don't have a pen and paper in front of you, actually this would be a great time to get pen and paper.
Right. Okay. So everybody, we're giving you a couple minutes to get pen and paper so you can take good notes.
Yeah. Take good notes. The other thing is now, Deborah, you can see the questions that people are asking?
I can.
Yeah, Deborah and I both can, yeah.
Okay, good. So if any of you guys, if you see some questions that come up, just stop me. I'll try and make some pauses in between so you don't have to cut me off. But as you know, I'm not that good at pausing. So.
Well, as you know, Sean, Becky and I are just fine at virtual hand raising, which kind of means vocally we push our way in there and ask the question that we know is dying on everybody's minds. That's why we're here, isn't it, Becky?
Absolutely, Deborah.
So we'll stop if we come. And I know we're going to have some good ones. You know I'm going to have some good ones because I'm Miss Curiosity.
So virtual hand raising. You know what we used to call that back in my day?
Being pushy, Budinsky.
Interrupting, but that's okay.
Miss Budinsky.
Budinsky me anytime you feel like it, okay?
Right on.
Well, let's get started. So the question I have is, what if you gave every networking partner this for free?
A free beer.
Can you see it?
Yep, sure can.
I live across the street from the Elephant's Deli in Northwest Portland, and I went across the street one of those days when it was like 160 degrees outside.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you got that's really cold and light? And he brought this is a Czech beer, I think he said it was, and he put it in this frosty mug, and he gave it to me. I'm like, you could ask me anything right now, and I would do it for you.
Oh, we know how to get advice from you, Sean. The truth is out.
Yeah, well, there you go. And, I mean, think about it. If you had, on one of those hot days, if you could offer somebody a nice, cold, frosty beverage, it wouldn't have to be beer. It could be a Coke. It could be water. Whatever is their beverage of choice. And then you said to them, will you help me? I am trying to network my way into more business. Well, who would say no to something like that? Well, let's just sit down and let's have a beer or let's have an iced tea and let's talk. So, so this talk today is going to be all about how to get the same result, but you don't even have to buy them a beer. How's that?
Very good. Very good.
All right, so let's start out with the you-them model. Like I said, some of you have probably seen this, but this is a way to clearly identify how you can provide a service to your customers, or in this case, it's how you can provide a service to your networking partner, the people that with whom you would like to network. How can you help them, and how can you help them help you? So the first thing, it's a very simple model. It's 2 steps. The first thing is you want to think about very clearly, what does your networking partner need? Now this may be something that they tell you that they need, or it may be something that is, they haven't really expressed it, but you know because you know how what they do, and you know enough about their business, that you can think of them when you see a response to this need. So for instance, if sometimes when we go to networking events, either a networking group like an I Take the Lead meeting, or like one of the big, what I call the big sort of cattle calls, where it's just like, you know, everybody come and there are hundreds of people or dozens of people, just to think about, well, what would somebody need? Now, somebody might need something really specific, like, oh, when I was driving over here, I got a flat tire, and who do you know in the area that could help me? You know, is there a Les Schwab nearby? Right? So it might be a real specific need like that. And those are pretty easy to identify. And I mean, if you ask somebody, well, what do you need, and they say, I need to know where Les Schwab is, you wouldn't feel bad about telling them, would you?
Not at all.
And even if you didn't know, what would you do? If you didn't know where the nearest Les Schwab was, what would you do?
Well, a lady the other day, we were down in your area looking for Dove Lewis, and she offered to use her smartphone. She found the address. She gave us directions. Yeah. So I would try to do that if I had my smartphone with me.
Yeah, or I mean, even, you know, ask somebody. If say you're in a networking group and you know that there's someone who lives in that area, or
right.
You know, you can say, hey, I don't know where Les Schwab is, but Jim, you know, his office is right next door. He probably knows where the closest one is. Something like that, right? So,
right.
But it could be as specific as that, but it also might be much less specific, and you would have to sort of guess before you get there or talk to the person. But then you would know that you had something to offer. So, for instance, last weekend, I went to the World Domination Summit. Have you guys heard about that?
Nice.
And it's a big event. There were like 2,500 people from all over the world, literally all over the world. And one of the things that happened was there was the first evening of the event, they had this cocktail hour, this, you know, meet and greet kind of thing. And there was, I went to the bar to get a glass of Coca-Cola, and there was a young woman there, probably, I don't know, 35 or 40 years old, and she just looked like she didn't really know anybody. You know how when you're in a group and there's a whole bunch of people talking to each other, and then there's someone who kind of looks around like, I'm very uncomfortable to be here, and I don't really. Anyway, she was there, and you know, we were standing together, and I got my Coke, and she got her whatever wine or something, and I said, "Hi, my name's Sean, and who would you like to meet at this event?" It was that blatant. Who would you like to meet here? And she was like, "Wow, no one's ever asked me that before," and we became good friends just thinking about it, you know, just asking her. Well, you know, that wasn't like a brilliant thing, because that was a group full of people that were there to meet each other. So I just said, who would you like to meet? And then she said, I would like to meet somebody who's about the same place I am. And I think she said she was 40 years old. She said, I have this corporate job, and I'm just sick of it. It's killing me, and I want to do something different. And so I'd like to meet somebody who is about that same place, or maybe who has already quit their corporate job and gone off and done something on their own. Well, I mean, again, in a group full of people who are out there to meet each other, the odds of, what do you think the odds are of finding somebody else that's in that situation?
I think it'd be pretty good, wouldn't you?
Well, I was betting on it, and so we.
Yeah.
Actually, there was another woman at the bar, about 2 people down. There was a couple that were talking, and there was another woman. She was standing there looking in a very similar situation. So I said, let's go talk to her. And so we walked, and I said, hi, my name's Sean, and this is Tiffany. And she told us her name and where she's from. And I said, who would you like to meet here? And she said, I have this corporate job, and it's just sucking my soul, and I'm ready to quit the job, and I'd like to meet somebody else who who was in that a similar situation. Now, the first gal turned to me and she said, did you plan this? And my answer was, no, I didn't plan it, but then again, I also did plan it, because I had a strong feeling that at this particular event, there are going to be a lot of people who are in this kind of situation.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you, for instance, if somebody's coming to the golf tournament, right? Which I wish I could be there again, but we have a family reunion in California that week.
Oh, that's right. You had told me, yeah.
Right. And but I think maybe I will get that early bird and then send somebody to golf in my place.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought about this before I walked in the room. What are some of the people in this room going to need? Same way with the golf tournament. Who's going to be at the golf tournament? People who golf. Yeah, but who else? People who are in I Take the Lead. What are some of the things that they need? Well, they're usually small business owners, right?
Right.
Small business owners have a variety of needs. Small business owners need somebody to help them with their website. Small business owners need somebody to help them with their books. Small business owners need more customers. Everyone needs more customers. Small business owners need people who can help them find the best prices on the products that they sell. Right? So you think of, I mean, you're at the golf tournament. There are going to be people who need web designers. There are going to be people who need bookkeepers.
Absolutely.
Right?
Right. Right.
So I just think about what is it that they need, focus on them, and here's a good worksheet. It's kind of small, but let's see if I can zoom it up a little bit. Kind of small. It's called a customer persona sheet. And what I would do is I would sit down and intentionally think about the person who I'm going to meet at the golf tournament. Now, this is not necessarily a customer. We'd cross that name out there, and it would not be customer persona. It would be the networking partner persona.
Right. Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Oh, Sean, I love that. Is that part of your offer today? If people write to you to get the slides, is that?
That is.
Is that part of what you're going to send them?
Wow.
Yep, they will get this worksheet.
Wow,
And
you know, that is such a huge gift to everybody here. I can just see how, as someone who deals with intention and design all the time, to just take a few minutes and to sit with this before you go to any event.
yeah.
I mean, even your usual I Take the Lead event. Imagine what would happen if you had some of this filled out on the people in your group, or imagine if you had this filled out for some new people you were looking for in your group. This is like tapping into your intention. You guys, Sean's got a gift for you that can help up the magic in your life right here. This is fantastic.
Oh, I agree.
I dig it. I dig that, up the magic.
I know. I love the way Deborah put that.
all about the manifesting, baby.
All
Yeah,
about-
you
You
got
found
it.
that, Sean, that things seem to happen by magic, just like that example you gave us, like that synchronicity of that. But it's because you did the work beforehand of kind of putting your intention on what your reason was there and who you were looking for, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. That was, I mean, I had a couple of ideas of the kind of people that I would meet there, and one of them was somebody who wants to quit their job, and another one was somebody who is visiting from out of the country, and so what I'm thinking about them is, they may have a whole different set of, I could create this customer persona for them. It would be a whole different set of things that I would have to offer them. But the real thing I'm offering both of them is really just welcoming, sort of glad you're here and I can introduce you to somebody.
So, Sean, I know people look at you and they think, yeah, well, it's easy for Sean. Trust me, they do say that, by the way. Well, it's so easy for Sean. Don't they say that, Becky?
Oh, absolutely. He's a natural. Exactly, yeah.
He's a natural. That's another thing they say. He's a natural, and I'm not, and I don't have anything to offer. I wouldn't be able to offer anybody, and,
Well,
So
I know
hopefully at
where
some point you're going to address that, because I know what I would say, but I think that is something that often, and if anyone wants to chime in here on the chat, where we won't read your name, just say, yeah, I've heard of that happening, or I felt that somehow. Sometimes I think people are afraid to reach out because they don't think they have anything to offer. Can you address that and how you could use this worksheet for that?
Absolutely. So this worksheet does not deal with what you have to offer. Okay, and a lot of times I think we get caught up in what do I have to offer. The reality is that some people actually offer way too much. They're pushy salespeople.
Right.
And then some people think I don't have anything to offer. This worksheet is about neither one of those people. This worksheet is about your customer, or in our case today, it's about your networking partner.
Right.
And all you're trying to do here is to identify what is this person thinking about, what are their feelings about certain things, what kind of things do they do, where are they going, their age, their gender, so just pick a person and focus on it. And this is the networking partner, right?
Right. Wow.
So, yeah, and then I'm going to get to some really specific things because it is, honestly, Deborah, it is easy for me.
And I think that people forget what a value that is for us, though, to have someone who it's easy share with us how to make it easier for us.
Yeah. And I'm coming to that too. I'm going to give some really specific. This is where I want people to have their pen and paper ready, because I'm going to give you some very specific things that you can say to somebody at a networking group, and if you practice it enough, it will become easy. And they're easy anyway. So let's keep moving.
Okay.
So we'll go back to this. Remember, we're talking about the you-them model. We've already focused on them. So we understand what they are needing, or maybe we're guessing about what they need, but you probably have a pretty educated guess. Then you think about where what you have to offer overlaps with what they need. So it's very likely at one of the...
And Sean, we're still not talking about product and service at this point. We're simply talking about, I want, be very specific with us. What are we talking about?
You are simply talking about, it might be a product or service, but more than likely it's knowledge of somebody or something.
Mm-hmm. Like an introduction to someone, or... An
introduction is still back to where's the closest Les Schwab.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's all about that. So then we go, once you've figured out, okay, well, if I meet somebody at the golf tournament who is looking for a bookkeeper, well, I need to take the names of some bookkeepers, and you probably have those names from your I Take the Lead group.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you don't, there are several weeks between now and then, and you can say at one of the I Take the Lead groups, I would like to have the names of your bookkeepers, so that if somebody asks me at the golf tournament who I should recommend as a bookkeeper, I'll have 3 names. Simple.
Very good.
But this takes pre-planning. As Deborah said, there's intention involved here. Intention. All right, so this is all the work that happens before you get there. And then when we go to a networking group, this is what we get. There are 2 kinds. The first kind is that guy on the left. You can't tell, that's me underneath there.
Oh, is it? No, I couldn't have told.
You couldn't have told. So yeah, there are people with the mask that are like, I want to hide behind this mask, and I'm told that I need to go networking, but it's very uncomfortable for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what that's to represent. And then the people on the right-hand side, the woman is my lovely wife, and the other guy is Roger, who's a friend. And look, they happen to have beer in front of them. Oh, man. So, those 2 people on the right, they're people that that can talk together like old friends. And in fact, these 2 people are old friends. But those are the kind of people you get at networking events. So, how do you become the one on the right as the one on the left? How do you lose the mask at a networking event? Well, so I've got 3 steps. The first step is to plan ahead. This is to do the work of the you-them model. This is to know why you are going. This is to think about what you hope to get from the event. This is to do some research and think about who else might be there and what do they need. So all of this is done before you ever show up to the event. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to sit down for an hour ahead of time, but if you do, you're going to get so much more out of that. I mean, sometimes I show up to an event and I sit in the car for 5 minutes and just focus myself and say, okay, wait a minute. Why am I going to this? What do I hope to get out of it? Who else is going to be here? What do they need?
Well, very good.
So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is I need to have some can opener questions.
I like that.
That comes from somebody else, but I borrowed their concept, the word. What kind of questions are going to open the can? What kind of questions do we usually get at a networking event? What do people usually say?
What do you do?
What do you do?
Yeah.
That's boring.
Yeah, it is.
And plus, it always elicits the same response. Because people have heard that question before, and they're like, oh, I've got this elevator pitch that I worked on because I went to Sean or somebody else's workshop, and they told me how to write an elevator pitch, and I give this elevator pitch, right, which is boring. I don't like boring. So I suggest we use some can opener questions. Well, hi, Deborah, tell me about yourself. That's a really good question, right? My favorite question that I always ask is, what's your story? Hi, Jim, what's your story? And let me tell you, you get some responses. That's not a, I mean, one of the things that you said is that people think that it's so simple for me, partly because I just asked this question with curiosity. Hey, what's your story?
Oh, see, but that right there, if you guys are writing something down, just write down what Sean said. Part of the reason I make it look easy is because I have a few things prepared, but I have an attitude of curiosity.
Oh, right, exactly.
Yep. And then this next one, this is the question I asked the gal the other day at the meetup. Would you like to meet here?
I like that, especially where I'm kind of the hostess of several events. That's nice.
That'd make your life easy. And
then,
what's your favorite beer? Theme through our talk today, right?
I think that's just brilliant, Sean, because when you said can opener questions, I couldn't think of a one. Not one. And, I'm pretty verbal with people, so I kind of go on whatever the cues are. But quite often I'll strike up a conversation around pets, because Portland's such a pet town, right?
Absolutely.
Not too many people who don't want to talk about their pets, right, Becky?
Right. Yeah, I know.
So, but I think it really is good, because that process of having everything fly out of your head, why not have a couple of, like, what's your favorite beer? Or, are you a bicyclist? Because, that's kind of what Portland is known for, is a couple of those things.
Right.
And when you're depending on who the people are, you get some really creative answers to some of these things. One of the questions I asked the other night at this event, where there were people from literally all over the world, I asked this question. It's a can opener question. How did you get here today?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's a great one. Mm-hmm.
And this guy, you know what this one guy said? He said, "It's funny you should ask. I rode my bike."
Yeah, there you go. See what I'm saying?
From Iowa.
Oh, my word.
Now,
that opened up the whole can, didn't
it? Now we've got a conversation going, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't say much more than, oh my God, seriously? I want to hear about that. And it was an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so step one is plan ahead. Step two is use a can opener question. Step three happens after the event. Okay? So when you go to these events, one of the things that is really hard is to figure out what to do is, how do I follow up? Do you find that hard? You guys find that challenging?
I was actually just going to say, Sean, that I think out of everything you've talked about so far, I don't know anyone else, but I think it was probably true for most people, that this is where people drop the ball, myself included.
Well, I'll
with someone how I've had to really focus on creating certain habits so that I don't drop the ball.
Yeah, I'll have to cop to that too. I mean, I have a hard time following up, partly because it's a bit overwhelming, right?
Mm-hmm.
You met 100 people and you got 10 business cards and you're like, I don't know what to do, right? So what most of us do is we throw the business cards into a box on our desk, or leave them on a pile on our desk, or leave them in our purse or backpack or whatever. I mean, I don't know what you do, but I've got this pile of business cards on my desk that, is 8. How long have I been coming to I Take the Lead?
Yeah,
8 years. You have 8 years of business cards and something on your desk, huh?
It feels like it, but so just select 1 or 2 people from the event. They're like, you know what? I met this person and I need to follow up with them about something. Anything in particular, something. And then identify their business cards. And one of the best ways that I know to do that is right when I'm talking to them, if I'm thinking this is a person that I want to follow up with, I will bend the corner of that business card. Just a corner. And you don't have to write on it or anything like that. And then if it's like, oh my God, I've got to talk to this person, I gotta figure out who they are, or we can work together, or the person says, hey, I'd like to hire you, or whatever, right? Then I tear that corner off. So when I get home, I've got maybe 8 or 10 business cards, but I've got 2 or 3 of them that have a bent corner, but I've got one where the corner's been torn off. That's the person I'm reaching out to.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally I say, reach out within 24 hours. And I actually have someone that I have to follow up with that I met yesterday, so I've got to do it before I go to bed tonight, because 24 hours, right?
Right.
And I actually don't even remember why we said we need to talk to each other. So my email is going to be, I met you Monday at such and such event. And honestly, I don't remember why, but we both said we need to talk. I mean, that's good. That's what the email is going to be, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And then you can always ask, "What's your favorite beer?" I'm going to take that. Okay, so questions about this, because that's really the topic. Is we looked at the you-them model. We looked at two types of networkers. We talked about 3 steps that you can do to lose the mask, and those 3 steps are, once again, plan ahead. Number 2, use can opener questions. Number 3, follow up. So what questions are out there?
If I may, Sean, may I add something for all of the introverts and sensitives who may or may not watch this at some time?
Yeah, where would you add it?
I would add it a little bit at the beginning and a little bit at the after.
Okay.
And that is to do a little debrief for yourself and think about what worked for you and what didn't work so well and what you need to work at in the future. So for myself, I, through my experience, have realized that there's a certain amount of networking I can do, and if I go over that, I start really burning out. And then it's no longer effective for me or for anyone else I'm around. I also know that I can't go to a networking event after an entire full day of work and still have something left. My bucket's empty.
Yeah.
So there's certain things. I actually have a little card that says, remember when scheduling for a networking event, and remember afterwards that I need to rest the night before, the day before, that I need to not plan anything after the networking event so that I can rest. I need to make sure I'm hydrated. I need to make sure I've had something to eat so my blood sugar doesn't crash. I mean, I know this sounds like kind of weird, but and obvious maybe, but for someone like me who's very high rapport but very sensitive, I will actually lose track of what my body needs or what I personally need in favor of that person I'm with. And I've checked with other clients who are very sensitive. All those people who grew up, you know, it's all about the other people and you have to be really nice. It can really wear on us because we give out, we give and give from an energetic level, and then we crash, and that doesn't do anybody any good. So since I've actually been very, what's the word I want to say, discerning about where I spend my time and my energy and my intention and attention, I do a lot better. I do a lot better.
Yeah, I bet that's, I'm sure that's true. And, you know, there are some people out there who are very, very organized people, and they like checklists. If you're one of those people, I would suggest that you create a checklist just like
Great idea.
you're talking about. And you can also have these, you know, these 8 or 10 things that I put up here as well. Okay, I thought about why am I going? I thought about who else is going to be there, that kind of thing. But yeah, you're right, Deborah. And I have found, even though I get really energized by going to networking events, I have found that I need to be, as I've gotten older, I need to be more intentional about the events that I go to, when I go. And you're right, that whole thing about if I'm out late at a networking event, even like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, I've got to make sure that my schedule the next morning does not start at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Right, and that goes with your follow-up within 24 hours.
Yes.
Who wants to go to why would I want to go to a networking if I knew I already had a full 10-hour day the next day and no way to get that follow-up done, right? Yeah. If I didn't have that follow-up scheduled into my next day and maybe even in a lighter, more enjoyable way, why would I do it? But I didn't know that. It seems so obvious, doesn't it? But I didn't know that until I started debriefing myself after the networking events.
Well, I think it's helpful that you say that, though. Maybe it seems obvious now, but we don't think of these things. You know,
I know.
We think everybody says I should network, so we go to a networking group, and we don't think about what we're going to do when we're there, or what we're going to do after we come home, or, you know, because nobody says go to a networking group and meet 3 people and then set up a coffee with them the next week. Nobody says that. Everybody says go to a networking group, so you go.
That's why Becky Tangwell and I Take the Lead is so fantastic, is because they have experts like you, Sean, come on and deconstruct some of this for us. Yeah. Or else we would just be spinning our wheels. No wonder we'd feel burned out, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Cool. Well, what other questions or thoughts did folks have?
There aren't any questions coming in from the viewers right now. Let's see. Does anybody out there have questions?
I'll throw some questions out there that I've heard in the past, Sean, that maybe you can answer, and hopefully
yeah, that'd be great.
That. One of the questions I hear a lot is that people feel, we talked about this, people feel like it needs to be even, right? But some people are really good listeners, and when someone asks them about them, they don't know what to say. So that's one part of that dynamic. The other part of the dynamic is people like that sometimes have been kind of cornered by someone who just goes on and on and on and doesn't really have the, what do I want to say, sort of the, like you said, none of us learned how to network, so they don't really have the networking manners that says we're supposed to connect, make a connection, see if this is worth, you know, following up on, and then move on. So there's some people that don't have that, and I'm just going to be real general and say often that is people who are maybe highly technical, or maybe very logical, or maybe people who, you know, don't quite have the communication tools. And sometimes it's by people who really have a passion for what they do, but they forget that we're there to find out both sides.
Right.
So there's kind of a, do you get that there's like questions on both sides of that? People, do you have anything to address those situations, I guess? Because they're two sides of the coin.
One of the ways that, one of the things that people do ask me a lot is, how do I break off from a conversation that's...
There you go. That's one of them.
it's how do I gracefully get out of a conversation that I'm here to meet people, and this person has just taken 20 minutes of my time, you know, and I want to be polite, and you know, but that's not why I'm here. So there again, I would recommend that you script out some responses to this. And one of the things that you can say, I think, is, I mean, clearly you can say, I need another beer. Or you can say, hey, Jim, I've had too many beers and I need to go to the restroom.
Yeah.
But another way to do it, to disconnect, is to say, I came to meet a whole bunch of other people, and I bet you did too, and so I think it's time that we move on to other people. All right? I came to meet people, so did you, and I'd love to sit and chat all day, but it's time. I've got to go force myself to go meet somebody else.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I do is also, I will, if I see somebody I know, I introduce them. Oh, by the way, have you met so and so? You know, have you met Susan?
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that.
I have to talk to that one too, Becky. I do that one too.
Yeah, I think it's probably natural especially for moms. Jacqueline has a question. She said, "How do I choose which networking groups to attend?"
Well, that's a great question.
It is.
Right.
So first of all, I take the lead.
Yeah, and I don't even know. I'm not sure where Jacqueline's at. So it could be there are no I take the lead groups in her area.
Yet.
Yes. You're right, Sean.
Okay, so let's just assume that's the deal. What I would recommend is you go back to this customer persona worksheet. And again, you don't want it to be customer. You want it to actually say, and I should maybe change this for us, but this is your networking partner worksheet. And so who are the types of people that would be most beneficial for you to network with? For instance, if I'm a realtor, it would be very beneficial for me to be in a group where there are people who are selling mortgages, where there are people who who do construction, where there are landscapers, right? So the complementary kinds of services or products that I provide. So maybe I want to do a networking group with those folks. One of the things that you're going to see on this sheet, and again I'm going to get this bigger, is right here. Where is this person going? Y'all see this?
Right.
I'm circling it. So think about it. I need to identify a particular someone who would be a good networking partner with me. Well, I want to know where those people hang out. Okay, so right here in this customer persona going, I might fill down here, what are the places this person hangs out? Are they at the chamber? Are they at I Take the Lead? Are they at, maybe the place you need to network is a community college class on something, who knows, whatever.
Right. And I now realize who Jackie. It's Jackie. She's on our meetup, and she's been to one of the I Take the Lead meetings. But she's a pet sitter, and I think she hasn't contacted me directly to find out what group would be a good group. So Jackie, I recommend contacting me directly. You'll have my email today, and as far as pet sitter, we don't have any pet sitters in any of our groups, so it would be pretty wide open.
We should, though. We should.
I know, we should. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, this is a pet.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Absolutely.
And
people love to travel here too, and so that's pet sitting and people who like to travel. Ooh, yeah, that's what you need. I just gave her some suggestions, but people who like to travel, that's a good one.
Yeah, so anybody who's doing any kind of travel, find a group that has somebody doing that. Yeah.
Travel agent.
Yeah, exactly.
There would be one other thing that I would recommend as far as what groups to go to is because networking is also about fit and relationships.
Right.
You also want to try out the group and make sure that it is a kind of group that would make sense for you to attend. So, some different groups just has different people. Different groups have different personalities. We have people in groups, and some groups that are just boisterous and talking all the time and laughing, and and then we also have groups of people who are much more reserved and introverted. And if you need one or other of those, you should go to a group where the people with those personalities hang out.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's good feedback, Sean, because I can start asking people, would you like a more reserved group, or would you, or would you like a group with Lynn Gray in it?
Oh my goodness, Lynn Gray and Sean Harry and yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that's a really good point, you guys. Actually,
I do too.
I typed a little something in there about finding something. Not always finding a group that's exactly like you, but a group that you'll be willing to go back to. I think it's really, I've heard from people who signed up for groups thinking that they would have good referral partners in there, but they never got any referrals because they just didn't go.
Oh, right, yeah.
They didn't develop those relationships. It has to be someplace where you're going to want to go week after week and develop those relationships. And if you don't...
Well, there have honestly been groups of people that I have joined, not in I Take the Lead, but in the past, where I did not like the people in the group.
Yeah.
And I'm sure.
Wait, Sean, was it that you did not like them? Was it that you didn't trust them? Was it that they were just? Can you be a little bit more specific about where that dislike came from?
Well, it came from. I can't without offending.
You just weren't comfortable. I gotcha. Okay.
I did not like the people in the group.
It goes back to finding something that's in alignment.
They were not the kind of people that I would normally hang out with, and so or even and that's not bad. I mean, I'll hang out with people that I wouldn't normally hang out with also. But this group of people that I'm thinking of specifically, they were just, that wasn't my tribe at all. Could you imagine, here's an example that's hypothetical, but could you imagine me in a group full of cowboys?
I could. I think
I
you
could too, actually. Sure.
I don't know
but
anything.
apparently not.
I don't know anything about cowboys. I don't know
I
anything
gotcha.
about cowboy boots or cowboy hats.
You're
I
a
don't.
city-fied guy. Is that what you're telling us, Sean?
Guy, you know, I don't know anything about driving a truck. I don't know anything about country music. I don't, and these are assumptions that I have that,
Yes.
you know, but I don't see myself in that kind of in a group of those folks. Not that there's bad people or, you know, it's just I just don't see myself there.
You don't connect with them, right?
Well, let me ask you this: Could you see me in a group full of 20-something computer programmers?
No.
I couldn't see myself in that group either.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to offer a slightly alternative twist on this, and that is because I see this as it's something that happens in my particular field all the time. Now, you and I share the same field of coaching, Sean, but we're on very different sides of what it is we do with people. And I see a lot of coaches hanging out with coaches, and not that that's a bad thing, but how does that really help you? I mean, on the one hand, it helps you get that support, but really, it's not where my clients are. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
for me, who I have limited amount of energy to spend, being part of like 3 different coaches get-togethers does not make sense for me. What makes sense for me to go, like you said, where my clients are. So for Jacqueline, who wrote in, she's not going to necessarily go hang out with other pet sitters.
Oh,
She's going to go hang out where there's young parents with dogs and travel agents who help people move, you know, travel, and people who are helping people move. And you know, you do need to stretch a little bit and get yourself over to where your clients are, or people who know your clients are.
Right.
And so I'm not into sports myself, but I keep an eye on sports because my clients are really into sports.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, the other thing is, you might even think about identifying a group where they don't have a person that's like you, but they need one. And here's
so that's an interesting outlook, Sean. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So one of the things that I like to do is to volunteer in a nonprofit organization, and I will pick a nonprofit organization that has a cause that I can get behind, and then I will volunteer to be part of the leadership team in a part of that organization that they have a specific need. And for me, because I'm a business coach, I have some knowledge of budgets and finances, right? So if I go to an organization, I might volunteer to be on the finance team, or I might volunteer to even be on the board as the finance person, and that helps me make great connections. Now, I'm not doing that to make connections to sell stuff to people, but I am doing it to build those relationships. And so I've been the financial person, the bookkeeper, or whatever you call it, for 2 major nonprofit organizations here in town. One is the National Speakers Association. One is the American Society of Training and Development. I spent 2 years on each of those boards as their treasurer, and not because you know I was the only one that could do it, but because I was the only one in their group that could do it.
Oh, right.
A bunch of speakers, they're all speakers. They don't know anything about being a treasurer, you know. But I've done that before, so I can help them. So you might think about what is your special gift that you can offer, and use that to find a group that needs it.
I think that on your list of things, that's a very powerful thing for any of us here today, Sean, is to see what are the strengths that other people would recognize in us that maybe we're not giving ourselves credit for necessarily, but that other people could really use.
I'm going to put it right there.
There you go.
Good idea. Yeah.
What strengths do I have that?
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, what's your last slide say?
The last slide is a reminder once again is how you get the goods. It's free PowerPoint and then the worksheet that I mentioned here. I don't have an offering. I'm not selling anything today, but I will
okay.
get people on my mailing list. So yeah, I just want to know that you're there and that you have a need and that you want to hear more about what I'm offering.
Absolutely.
Because we have classes and stuff coming up in the fall, but right now everybody's kind of doing vacation stuff, and I don't want to work that hard either.
I know. Well, would you explain though where you work? I mean, because you work for yourself, but also where you work offering the classes.
Absolutely. I'm working out of the Small Business Development Center at Portland Community College. That's where I do most of my work. I work also my independent practice. I work with natural healthcare providers, holistic healers, so acupuncturists and naturopaths and folks like that. And we're really starting a whole movement where we're going to revolutionize healthcare in this country.
Very cool. Very cool.
And the Small Development Center is where I teach the classes.
Okay.
Those are very reasonable.
Right. Yeah. And I wanted to mention, come to think of it, because you had brought an acupuncturist to one of our meetings. I don't know if you're working with her or not, but you brought her. She's going to Spencer's group this Friday, and he's been on this webinar, so I can't think of her name offhand, but so that's cool.
Well, I brought a couple, Mariko and Kate, and
it was Mariko.
Mariko,
yeah. She seemed. I haven't met her in person, but she seems very, very nice. So yeah.
Very nice, yeah.
So, yeah. Well, we're going to end it. Thanks, Jacqueline, for asking questions. Thank you so much, Deborah, for helping out.
It's been my pleasure.
I'm sure you asked all the questions that we were all wanting to ask, and but we were afraid to or didn't get to it. So thank you very much. And I really appreciate you being on here, Deb. You're just great. And then, Sean, thank you so much. We appreciate all the information you provided, and I know you'll be hearing from people. You always do, because this is going to go out. Everybody's going to get a replay tonight, and then they'll be watching it and touching bases with you. So I want to thank everybody for being here. And any last words of wisdom, Sean? Oh, and Jacqueline said thank you.
I would say the last words of wisdom I have are just enjoy the summer. Everybody.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
I know. You too, Deborah. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you. Thanks, Sean. Great info today. Great practical
Absolutely.
info.
Yeah, thank you. Yay!
All right, we'll see you guys later.
Okay, thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.